Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Akshno Phalam Twadrisha Darshanam Hi Tano Phalam Twadrisha Gatra Sangaha Jiva Phalam Twadrisha Kirtanam Hi Sudurlabha Bhagavata Hiloke. Bhagavata means a devotee of Krishna, Bhagavan. Sudurlabha. Where can we find a pure devotee of Krishna? The living entity wanders through 8,400,000 species of life, wandering and wandering, and he meets pigs, he meets dogs, he meets human beings, maybe he meets demigods, but he rarely can meet a pure devotee of the Lord. It's so fortunate. So fortunate. Someplace that example is there no, I've forgotten the example, or I'm not sure of the authority of it, but it's to this same point, that it's so rare to meet a pure devotee. And therefore, if we get the opportunity, we should take full advantage. We should take full advantage. Bhagavata. The Bhagavata is as good as Bhagavan, or better. Madbhakta Puja Bhyadika. The serving the devotee is even more valuable than serving the Lord, in the Lord's own estimation. Madbhakta Puja Bhyadika. So this is perfection. We felt that in the presence of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, that just to see Maharaj was perfection of vision. To see such a Vaishnav was the perfection of the eyes. Perfection of the eyes. One might know philosophy or might not know philosophy, but just the fulfillment of the purpose of the eyes is achieved by seeing such a Vaishnav. And what to speak of being able to touch the lotus feet of such a pure devotee. Tano Phalam Twadrisha Gatra Sangha. So now those opportunities are not available. Of course, pictures are there, and still we'll be inspired by seeing the picture. In the early days, maybe 1967, thereabouts, 66, 67, Radharani wrote to Srila Prabhupada, are you the same as your picture? Because, anyway, you can understand. Are you present in your picture? And Prabhupada wrote back and said that if by seeing the picture you think of me, then I'm present. So, it's another time he said the picture is not just for decoration, it's for worship. The picture is not just for decoration, it's for worship. So, by seeing the picture, we may remember our spiritual master, we may worship our spiritual master. And still, we would wish that the spiritual master were physically present so that we could touch his lotus feet, so that we could see him in person. But that opportunity will not always be there. Prabhupada said it's sometimes available and sometimes not. But this is available. Shiva Phalam Tvadrasha Kirtanam, to glorify the devotee. This is the perfection of the speaking function, to glorify the devotee. Therefore we saw Bhakti Charu Maharaj was always glorifying Srila Prabhupada. Always glorifying Srila Prabhupada. And other devotees also. But actually that also, he would glorify God brothers, glorify other devotees, but especially glorifying Srila Prabhupada. So as he glorified Prabhupada, we can go on glorifying him, and that will be the perfection of speech. And at the same time, glorifying means not just speaking, but trying to carry out the instructions of the spiritual master. I was struck yesterday that one mention was there. I think in the film that yes, it was in the film that Maharaj was saying that it's not just how much money you bring in or how expert you are or even what you can accomplish, but finally what is the standard of your devotion? That's the ultimate thing. He said that I want to teach. That's what I want to see, is that devotion. Of course, devotion is not just sentiment. So we also have an interest. How much money did you collect? How many books did you sell? What did you accomplish? It's not that Prabhupada was just interested in abstract sentiment. But when there's sentiment, at least we'll make the attempt to achieve something. Our Guru Maharaj had some desire, so we should try to accomplish that. Not just that sentiment that I love Guru Maharaj so much. Ben, what are you doing for his mission? I love him so much. We should do something. There was I remember from 1968, one of Prabhupada's godbrothers had published a book in his old age. And I guess it must have been sent to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada looked at it, and someplace in the front matter, the author said that, when my Guru Maharaj left, I lost the light of my life. And so I went into my law practice, or he took up legal practice and did this and that. And Prabhupada wasn't impressed. I lost the light of my life. And Prabhupada said he should have served Guru Maharaj. Devotion means practical activity in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada said he should have served Guru Maharaj. So that's our duty. In the absence, Prabhupada, what is that? In the physical absence of the spiritual master, the instructions of the spiritual master are the pride of the disciple. I think that's the quotation. So that should be there. that let me make his instructions my heart and soul. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chite Te Kuri Aikya. And Arna Kuriya Manayasha, not other business. Yes, Guru Maharaj's business and then my sense gratification also. Arna Kuriya Mani, that's such a high standard. Or that's the standard. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya Chite Te Kuri Aikya. That my desire and his desire should be one. Aikya means oneness. Guru Mukha Padma Bhakya. They're not ordinary words of an ordinary person. But they're transcendental instructions coming from the Bhagavata, the representative of Bhagavan Krishna. Arna Kuriya Manayasha. I shouldn't think, no, let me do something else. Let me do this. That will be the perfection, just Krishna also. There's no difference, spiritual master, Krishna. Let me do what Krishna wants, not what I want. Arjuna, from his own point of view, didn't want to fight. He wanted to leave the battlefield. But Krishna, I want you to fight. All right, Kodeshe Vachanam Tava, I'll do what you say. In the beginning, so many excuses. Learned, really, it makes such a good case that sometimes when we speak from first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the audience is thinking they're all on Arjuna's side. That yes, how can we kill? Better to live by begging than to have to fight against respectable people. Better to go off to the forest. Just because they're greedy doesn't mean we should be greedy. And we should be thinking about what will happen to the families, what will be happening to the community. So there, by the end of I heard there was a play, the devotees enacted the first chapter, and at the end the audience cheered because they were totally on Arjuna's side. But as the second chapter opens, Krishna says, Vashochanan Vashochas Tvam Pragyavadamscha Bhashase. You're speaking very nicely, as if you were pragya, as if you were a self-realized, learned person in knowledge. But a person in knowledge would never speak like you. Pragyavadam Navashase. He would never say this nonsense, as Prabhupada would put it. Ashochan and Vishochastram Pragyavadam Strabhashase. Gatasuna Gatasungscha Nanushochanti Pandita. A wise person doesn't lament, whether for those who are present or those who are gone. Gatasuna Gatasungscha Nanushochanti. He's not lamenting and lamenting. He's sthita pragya. He's actually situated in knowledge. And at the end of the second chapter, Krishna will explain what is sthita pragya. So from one point of view, of course no one ever dies. And therefore, what is the Nanashochita Marasi? What is the need of lamenting? We don't deserve to lament. But when the Vaishnava leaves, the spiritual master leaves, then it's lamentable. And at the same time, not lamentable. not lamentable means that wherever he's serving, his position is perfect, and wherever we're serving, that's also perfect. I think did someone quote yesterday that Prabhupada said that I'm chanting here and you're chanting there, so we're packed up together. I'm chanting here, you're chanting there. And after all, even when Prabhupada was present, how many of us were always sitting with Prabhupada, talking with Prabhupada? Hardly anyone. Few select men. Few fortunate devotees. But Prabhupada said, I'm chanting here, you're chanting there. So we're packed up. That was one of Prabhupada's expressions, packed up tight, packed up. Means, that's actual oneness or actual togetherness with the spiritual masters, to be engaged in doing what he said, engaged in following his instructions. So that we have to try to do. Still, it will be lamentable after Haridas Thakur's disappearance. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that by Krishna's will, we had the association of Thakur Haridas. Now, again, by Krishna's will, that association has been taken away. So we'll feel the absence of the spiritual master. And at the same time, absence plays a special role in our theology. Absence plays a special role in our theology. And of course, theology for us is not just an ology, it's not just a study, but it's our life. In Bhagavatam, Krishna deliberately removed himself from the vision of the Braja Gopis, just to drive them mad with intense desire to serve him. In the Kaliya Damana Lila, Krishna appeared to be dead. He's in the coils of Kaliya, and Yashoda Mai is mad with grief and wants to enter the Jamuna, and some Balaram and others have to hold her back. The cowherd boys, the cowherd men, everybody's just devastated, totally devastated. They've given their life and soul to Krishna, everything, and now Krishna's dead. It seemed like that in the coils of this poisonous, deadly poisonous serpent, and no sign of life. They were devastated. And then Krishna thought, all right, I've taken it far enough. And then he sprang into action, broke free from Kaliya's coils, started dancing on his hoods. So then the happiness of the Brajbasis was beyond limit. He's not dead, and and look at what he's doing. So this is what happens, that we become, if it seems that Krishna's dead, or if it seems that Krishna's absent, then our intensity of devotion can be increased. Intensity of devotion can be increased. That's why Krishna did that. Why he disappeared from the gopis. Why he played dead in the coils of the Kalyanag. Because in that separation, there's the most intense form of oneness, of being together with Krishna. So that absence of the spiritual master can have that effect also. That when he was present, maybe it was easy. We could always see him, we could always call up. He could say to us, "How are you?" So it was wonderful. And in the absence of the spiritual master, we feel not so satisfied, not so, we're missing. Then what to do? Then we have to serve. Then we have to serve, and serve, what should we say, serve hard. Serve intensely. Because in these, we'll meet the spiritual master in our service. Maharaj used to tell that story that he affectionately said to Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada, I wish I could have been there in New York in those very early days when there was no one to serve you and you were all alone. And Prabhupada said, I was never alone. My Guru Maharaj was always with me. All right, any questions? Comments? Yes?
Thank you, Maharaj, for this nice class. My question is, was reading the Gita that Arjuna is a constant company of Krishna wherever he descends, different planets or on this planet, whatever. So, he's a constant company of Krishna on where he descends. So my question is, to me, whether Krishna put Arjuna into that condition to, like on Yoga Maya, so that he could have the opportunity to purvey his message that he come to reveal in the instructions he have to give to Arjuna.
Arjuna and Krishna are always going from universe to universe. So then the question was
whether because he doesn't want to fight.
Arjuna doesn't want to fight
this battle. So whether, I know in our case, we get our contamination by our senses, or our desires.
We get our contamination by our senses or our desires.
Right, and
then
so my question is that since Arjuna is a constant companion of the Lord, maybe taking birth in some place else, so that at the time that they could execute whatever the Lord comes to do. So whether he was put in that condition to react this way, so that the Bhagavad Gita or the words of Krishna could be made manifest among the people.
Arjuna and Krishna travel. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjana. Krishna and Arjuna are traveling from universe to universe, from lifetime to lifetime. Tanyam Veda Sarvani na Tvam Veta Parantapa. I remember all of those births. You've forgotten. So that's Krishna's pastime, to put Arjuna into forgetfulness, to put him into apparent illusion, so that Krishna can speak Bhagavad Gita. For that reason, Arjuna is traveling with Krishna. Otherwise, what is the need? But that's Arjuna's role, that you fall into illusion again and again, and I'll speak Bhagavad Gita again and again. Is that okay? Yes.
So in this verse here, the word Phalam.
Phalam, yes.
So usually when you hear the word Phalam, it either means just a fruit or the result.
A little closer, that microphone works better when it's close.
So usually when you hear the word Phalam, it's just a fruit or it's the result of the action. In this verse, how is like the word like perfect result implied within the verse?
It's implied, of course, by Prabhupada's realization, but also that's what where the verse is going. It's obviously not just talking about fruit. You know that if you see the Vaishnava, it's as good as getting a mango or a pear. That's not the point, and it's not like the fruit of some karmic activity that by your Vaishnava seeing you is as good as performing a yajna. The sense is the fruit, the success. Fruit also means success. The fruit of his labors. It means the complete success. Name, what is that? Palamidam na param vidama. Someone know the beginning words? Sakya pashun anuviveshati or vayasyai. Vaktram brajesha sutayor anuvena drishtam. Yava napita manurakta kataksha moksha. The meaning is, someone can, if you find the verse, the na something, I'm missing a word. The one gopi is saying to another gopi that this is palamidam, this is the fruit of palamidam na param. There's no better fruit than this. What is that? Sakyu, my dear, than to see Krishna Balaram. Brajesh Sutayor, these two sons of Nanda Maharaj, Brajesha. You didn't find it yet. Palamidam naparam vidam. Sakyu, apashun, herding their cows, and anuviveshati, or entering into the forest.
I think it's 10:21:7.
Okay, that's the number, but what's the first two words? That's all I need. Akshan Vatam, of course. Akshan Vatam Palamidam. Akshan Vatam means for those who have eyes. Akshan Vatam. Akshan Vatam Palamidam. For those who have eyes, there's nothing, it doesn't get better than this. Akshan Vatam Palamidam. There's no better fruit than this. Akshanvatam palamidam naparam vidama. We think there's nothing better than this. Sakya pashun anuvibeshatayor. Bhaktram prajesha sutayor anuvenu to see Krishna and Balaram playing on their flutes and casting sidelong glances. Oh, it doesn't get better than this. So, Phalam is not just a dry word. It has these imports. For an effort to be fruitful means success. Success. In the Bible, be fruitful and multiply. It means have kids. If you don't have kids, then there was no result. And if you have kids, that's like, the big celebration. They give thousands of cows to the Brahmins and so on. So, Phalam doesn't just mean, yeah, we got something. We got something, but it means we got perfection, the hoped for result. Is that okay?
Maharaj.
Thank you. And thank you for the verse, Akshan Batam. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for staying and enlightening us. So my question is regarding your statement that our devotion and love to our Guru is serving him in his mission. So, every disciple has its own, not everybody has the same capacity. We have our own conditioning, limitations in our mind. So, my question is if one is Grahastha, and if he is putting all his energy to become a Krishna conscious family and taking care of his kids, working to provide an Krishna conscious environment at home, maintaining the minimum standard of trying to do good 16 rounds and following 4 regulative principles and reading Shastra. So, but not doing any outreach or not getting involved in any preaching activity. So, would that be enough for that Grahastha to please his Guru?
If one is a Grahastha and he's looking after his family very nicely and seeing that they're Krishna conscious and everyone's following the 4 regulative principles, is that enough to satisfy the Guru? That's the question. And he's not doing any outreach, but he's doing this.
Not everybody in the family, at least that individual.
At least he's Krishna conscious. Okay. But you started with something like we all have our limitations of what's like our conditioning and so on. So one thing is we have the limits of our conditioning. We're meant to break the limits of our conditioning. It's now certain limits we can't break. I can't say, well, I have this body, but I could have a body 10 times better. All right, that's pretty well set. We're not going to change that. But I have rubbish in my mind, so I must always have rubbish in my mind. I'm in this. No, that's not there. I should always be small-minded. I should always be cripple-minded, because that's who I am. No, that's not who I am. That's meant to change. Mantra, the mind is meant to be delivered from this miserly mentality. We're meant to be elevated. So that's one thing. Then the second thing is, if one is following the regulative principles strictly and performing his prescribed duties as a householder, that's wonderful. And why should the spiritual master not be pleased to see that the disciple is strictly following and performing his prescribed duties? That's very good. But then again, is that all there is to life? That, so what are you doing? I'm taking care of my family. Well, every dog does that. Prabhupada asked that Mr. Sethi, Giriraj Maharaj tells this story, that the first time Prabhupada met Mr. Sethi, who was to become one of Prabhupada's close associates, he said, so what are you doing? And Swamiji, I'm working and I'm taking care of my family and, all of those responsibilities. And Prabhupada asked him, he said, how does that make you better than a pig? How does that make you better than a pig? We can do more. Kadamba Kanana Maharaj had a book compiled from different talks he gave. Forever Present is the title of the book. And one thing he recounts is that he remembered hearing from Tamal Krishna Goswami that the business of the spiritual master is to, I'm just paraphrasing it, basically to see what the disciple thinks he can do and make it more. The disciple is here, but the spiritual master sees that the disciple could be here. We have a conception of what we can do. Well, this is the best I can do. This is what I'm able to do. But the spiritual master sees, no, you could do more. We would distribute some fantastic number of books, going all out, doing these mad marathons and staying up to all hours and turn in some great score, and Prabhupada would say, this is wonderful, now you should double it. So yes, the spiritual master is certainly pleased to see that we're maintaining, we're living up to our vows, we're following, we're doing. But then, what more can you do? What more can I do? The family duties, after all, are not eternal. I'm working on a book now about Vanaprastha ashram. There seems to be a sort of, there's the temporary brahmacharya ashram, and then comes the eternal grihastha ashram. No, the grihastha ashram is for some time, 25 years. Prabhupada said, basically, up till 50, panchashordampanam brajate, then one should move on from household life. So it's almost practically, by the time we've got our household life together and it's all, ticking along, now it's time to go. And that's the Vedic conception. Not that it's wonderful to be performing my prescribed duties as a grihastha, but then the next thing is I have to go on to my next set of prescribed duties as a vanaprastha. So I hope that answers your question to some extent. Thank you. Well, we're over time, aren't we? By quite a bit. So I guess we should stop. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.